Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1203A, and today's date is February 13th, 2017, and the title of the episode is Germany Received Gold Bars from the Fed, but the bars have different labels. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I just placed an interview on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. It is Danielle DiMartino Booth. She is a Fed insider. You can come over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It should bring you right to the video. Or you can come over to the X22Report.com site, scroll down a little bit. You'll see it on the right-hand side. You can play it right on the site. Or you can go to newssentinel.com. Same thing, scroll down a little bit. Look over to your right-hand side. You can play the video right on the site. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the corporate media, the central banks, they are out there and they are explaining why spending is going to drop in February and maybe into March. Because what they're saying is that the federal tax refunds, well, they have tumbled by 78% in the early part of February compared to 2016. And they're saying it's the result of this new law which requires the IRS to delay the printing of checks to households claiming specific tax credits. And the reason for the slowdown is because of this 2015 law that Congress passed, forcing the IRS to hold back refund checks related to the earned income tax credit and the child tax credit until at least February 15th. And what they're saying is because of this, this is going to have an effect on people spending money in the stores, people purchasing homes, and things like that. Now, of course, they're using this as an excuse because we saw from the prior years, even when people were receiving their tax refunds, guess what? They weren't going out and spending. But they're trying to use this as an excuse of why retail won't be doing as well as everyone thought it was going to do. Now, they usually blame this on the weather, which they most likely probably will. And remember, even during the good weather days, retail sales are dropping. And we have to understand that the number of refunds, they are less right now than they were last year because a lot less people are working or they have jobs that are paying less right now. And they're expecting a decline of about 40 to 50% in February of people receiving refunds. And that's quite large because we have to remember the tax receipts, the federal tax receipts coming into the government, the state tax receipts coming into the government, they have been declining every single year. They're bringing in less and less. And when people are out of work, when people have jobs that are where they're making less money, well, they're not sending in money to the government. They're also going to get a lot less back. And this is what we're seeing right now. Now, there was an interesting story coming out of Bloomberg, which is not even interesting, it's ridiculous, because they're saying that fake news drives the fake markets. Well, we know the market is completely fake, and we know that the corporate media puts out fake news. And we know that the market really has nothing to do with corporate earnings anymore, sales, revenue, or anything like that, because they have the high-frequency traders, the plunge protection team, and we see that the free money from the Fed is coming into the market to pump this up. And we see that a lot of the trading is done by computers. So we know that it's completely fake. But it's very interesting that they come out with this story trying to explain, why all of this is happening and why the market's moving up. We can see that they're creating a narrative right now, trying to explain away why the market's going up while Trump is being president. And they're creating the narrative that as he puts forth his economic policies, the entire economy most likely is not going to do well as we move further into this year, because we know that Mario Draghi is out there saying this. We understand that Fitch came out and said this, and we see right now that they're continually doing this, trying to create this picture. Now, what we're seeing here is they're continually blaming all of this on Trump, one thing after another. And there's a reason for this, because we know right now from many different individuals like Charles Nenner, Cliff High, Jim Rogers, Harry Dent, they're all calling for the same thing, that something's going to happen the third quarter of this year. And we can see that the corporate media, the elite, the central bankers, they're picking up on their storytelling that Trump is to blame. Now, we know that Japan, China, and many other countries, Russia, they're dumping treasuries. Now, Japan has dumped quite a bit of treasuries since May of 2013. And what's very interesting is that Bloomberg, again, put out a story about creditors that are selling treasuries because of Trump. Now, creditors, they don't have as much treasuries as Japan, China, Russia, but they're trying to create the idea that treasuries are being dumped because of Trump. And it went on to say that across the world, foreigners are pulling back from the U.S. debt like never before. Nevertheless, any consistent drop-off in foreign demand could have lasting consequences on America's ability to finance itself cheaply, particularly in light of Trump's ambitious plans to boost infrastructure spending, cut taxes, and put American first. Notice how they gloss over the fact that China, Japan, and Russia, well, they've been dumping treasuries. Actually, China has been culling its treasury holdings for 7 years, and that was all under Obama. But they left that part out, which is very interesting. So you can see everything is being put together right now because they know what's going to happen later on this year, where the economy starts to deteriorate, it starts to fall apart, and they shut the spigots off, and the Fed no longer is giving free money to the markets and everything else, and we see things start to really accelerate and everything start to rapidly decline. Now, we know that Germany's Bundesbank, they repatriated all their gold, 300 tons of gold, and it came from the Fed. Now, the Fed originally said, it's going to take many, many years to get this back to you. Now, something very interesting happened with the gold bars. They received the gold, but they noticed something very interesting, that the gold bars, they had different labels on them. And what they're saying is that these gold bars came from somewhere else, which shows that the Fed most likely doesn't have the gold, because they're saying that this wasn't the gold that we actually gave the Fed. And we can see right now that this has been a conspiracy theory, if you want to go down that path, that the Fed really doesn't have gold, because every time they wanted to audit the gold, guess what? It was not allowed. Now, if they actually had the gold, what would be the problem in auditing it? Here it is. See? We told you. But for them to say we don't want this to happen, just like they don't want you to audit the Fed, well, this is a major problem. This shows that you're hiding something. And this should be open to the people of the United States, because we are the people of this country, and a private central bank should not be running the country, its monetary system. It should be removed. Now we see Christine Lagarde is out there, and she is saying that Trump's plans for additional investment in U.S. infrastructure and his likely tax reforms might boost America's economic fortunes, but Trump's policies likely will squeeze international markets, and things might start to unravel. And that's a tightening that is going to be difficult on the global economy. So we already have the IMF now saying that Trump's policies, well, they're going to create a problem with the global economy. So we have the IMF saying we're going to have a global economic problem because of Trump. We have Fitch saying that we're going to have a problem here in the United States if he puts his economic policies forth. We have Mario Draghi saying that, yes, if Trump puts his policies forth, we're going to have a problem in Europe. You can see where they're going with all this. Now, of course, Christine Lagarde is saying that centralization worked perfectly. Everything is fantastic. We have free trade everywhere, except for this really high unemployment, except for these countries that are hugely in a lot of debt, and they can't service the debt. But But besides that, besides all the people suffering who can't find work, can't feed their families, and these countries in a huge amount of debt and everything else that's going on with negative interest rates, it worked out absolutely perfectly. And the reason why these people can't find jobs is because of technology, robots. They're taking the jobs. That's exactly what she said. Quote, "We have been saying globalization is great. International trade is great." And it is, she said. But we have not looked at those who were badly negative impacted. She blamed those negative impacts in part on the rise of robots taking jobs, as well as the shrinking gains of the global middle class. Well, first of all, the robots, are they really taking the jobs? No, they're not. The reason why is all the wealth is being shifted to the 1%. The rest, guess what? They're suffering for it. The lower class, the middle class, they are the ones who are suffering. They're not receiving the benefits of the centralization. But they don't want you to know that. Now, Barclays is out there saying that there's going to be significant changes coming to the Fed over the next 18 months. And I would like to see Trump actually get rid of the Fed. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I think that there are forces that will tell him to keep the Fed, and we can see right now that we'll have to see what these changes are. Now, these changes might be coming because of what's going to happen to the economy, because we can see right now the economy is ripping itself apart. The illusion is fading away, and we're starting to see the real economic data shine through. And people are starting to realize there are major, major problems, not here just in the United States, but across the globe. And it is getting worse and worse as time goes on, because we're seeing retail continually contract. We're seeing real estate, the prices are coming down, traffic is drying up. And we're starting to see that the corporate media is trying to say, listen, yeah, the economy's great right now, but as we move forward, it's going to get worse and worse. And we're going to have to blame that on Trump because it's his fault. So we can already see that they know that this won't last that much longer. And they're preparing the narrative. They're preparing the story. They're preparing the blame because they do not want to take the blame. They want the blame shifted. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.